Fascia has also been known to be, the area of the body that holds on to emotional baggage. So I've said before, trauma can get stuck in the tissues. And that's because if there's something stressful that happens or traumatizing that happens, it could be anything little or big. Trauma doesn't need to be defined as like sexual attack or something like that. It's really anything that your body, it's individual, anything that is too much for your body to process at that moment.
You're tuned in to the Dr. Kinney Show, and I'm your host, Dr. Erin Kinney, a naturopathic doctor and speaker dedicated to unraveling the mysteries of your body and guiding you back into balance. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Dr. Kinney Show. This week, I'm really excited to have with us Lauren Roxburgh, who is the Body Whisperer. You may have seen her other places. She's going to explain everything about fascia to us today, and we're going to talk about that. Thank you so much for being here, Lauren. It's so great to have you on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's fun to talk with like-minded people and helping raise awareness about truly what it means to be well, but not just well, but actually have wholeness in our bodies.
Yeah. So can you share with me and our guests, how did you become the Body Whisperer? What led you into this, what led you on this journey?
Absolutely. Well, when I was quite young, 16, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer, stage 4. And it was quite traumatizing for our family. We thought she was so healthy. She was doing yoga, eating healthy, all these amazing things. And so it was quite a shock. And so it really put me on this journey of wanting to learn about the body and how it really works. And I remember talking to some of the doctors at Stanford University and asking them, where does cancer come from? And they really didn't have a full answer. They said, well, it's environmental and it's genetic, but there's a whole piece so we don't understand. So this doctor specifically was really quite humble and shared that there was this piece that I could investigate. So that put me on a journey very early on, and I kind of found my path. And so I started studying all kinds of different holistic modalities. I was an all-American swimmer and athlete. I played water polo at UC Santa Barbara, and I studied physiology as well and anatomy. And then I started studying Pilates. So Pilates was something I found really early on when I was about 19. And I kind of went deep into that and found this connection with the mind and the body. And that was really fun for me. And I studied Reiki and Thai yoga massage and Ayurveda and Chinese medicine. And so I started getting really into all of these different kind of holistic healing modalities. And it really set me on a journey. And then in my late 20s, this was the really kind of big piece for me, was I discovered something called structural integration. And that's what I'm board certified in. I've been doing the work of structural integration since 2009, but that was sort of when I had the aha moment in my life where I realized that the system in the body, fascia, is incredibly important for, like I was saying earlier, kind of holistic health. And so I was lucky enough to kind of be a little bit on the forefront of when the new research was catching up to kind of what we've known in the Eastern or holistic modalities for many years. So yeah, it's been a journey. And I was lucky enough to also around that time in my late 20s to work with some of the top athletes and celebrities in the world, and also orthopedic surgeons. So I was getting a lot of the medical advice, looking even going and watching surgery happen, and surgeons coming to me because they didn't want to have surgery because they knew that fascia was such an important part of the body and healing. And so anyway, it was really quite a profound experience to me. And I found myself having another aha moment where I was working with these really, huge names in the world, like professional athletes and celebrities. And I thought, I love doing that, but I also feel like I really want to get the power to the people. I want everyone to have access to this knowledge and wisdom. And so I had this really interesting thing happen where I was able to then create homework for these people. And then that homework on the roller and the rebounder and self-bodywork became its own program. And so I was able to, it was quite a big hurdle, but I was able to basically be a hands-on bodywork practitioner to then start writing books and programs and creating practices. And now I go around and I teach workshops and I speak and do not a TED Talk yet, but that's on the vision board.
I'm sure it's coming.
Those kinds of things to sort of inspire the awareness of this part of our body that has always been there, but we just didn't know was there. And now we really can honor it and make the most of it and optimize it.
Amazing. Thank you for what a cool journey on like how you kind of I've had such cool pieces to put it together.
Yeah.
So let's maybe start with the basics about fascia. Like, can you give us like a basic overview?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny because we joke, my team and I and my friends joke, because it's like, I feel like I've been studying this for so long that I'd love to jump right into like what's happening now, but I realize that not everyone is really caught up to that. So, because I'm a total fascia nerd, but so let me just explain it very simply. So fascia is this vast network of connective tissue that actually holds us together. So it's been explained as the body's glue, the superficial connective tissue. So basically think about it like it lays right underneath your skin and above your muscle. Okay. So we can visualize that almost like a second skin. Like a saran wrap layering, stretchy, pliable. It's kind of like been said that it's the fabric, the biological fabric in our bodies that keep us elastic. Okay. So that's one layer of what fascia is. And it's kind of like the visual would be like if you were cutting open a chicken and you see that like white stuff on the chicken, or you'd see it in any kind of meat essentially. But the thing about fascia is it actually goes a lot deeper than the superficial, which is the superficial is kind of more about like the structural aspects of it, like your biomechanics and, kind of how you are posturing yourself. Some people call it the organ of form, or it's holding our shape. But it actually goes a lot deeper. So it lines every organ, muscle fiber, blood vessel, nerve, and lymph node inside of our bodies.
So crazy. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. I remember in anatomy, like doing anatomy lab in med school, and like we'd learn, I learned about fascia and learning that fact that not only does it just hold the muscles, but it literally wraps around everything. And then when you go to cut stuff open, you're like, wow, this stuff, it literally connects everything to everything. So when patients come in and they're like, this random thing on my toe, do you think it's possible it could be related to this other thing? I'm like, it is, because it's all literally, it's all connected. Like, it's all connected.
Yes. No, it's incredible. And I think, like back in the day, like before they started really seeing the value of this, and this wasn't that long ago. I mean, I'm not sure when you were in medical school, but I know it wasn't that long ago that they were like in dissections in medical school, they would just disregard the fascia. They'd pull it away and be like, oh, this is just like the packing wrap. Let's throw it away. Let's get to the juicy part of the organs and the bones and the muscles and all of that. So it's actually an exciting time. I like to give another visual. So now that people think of the chicken, the superficial part, then thinking about how it weaves through, right? So another visual is kind of like, think about an orange. And especially if people aren't watching this, they're listening to it, they can visualize it in their head. And it's basically when you peel the orange and you see the white stuff that wraps around the entire fruit. But then you'll see how that white stuff weaves through each segment of the orange and connects the orange as well. So it's like it is a bit of the glue, right? It's holding us together. So, but you can tell it's just boundless. Like it's just this, like we were saying, it's just this weaving, this living tapestry. So the other really exciting thing though is the true nature of fascia only really became apparent in about 2018. We're talking like only a few years ago.
Yeah, it's not that long ago.
Right? When a study at the Icahn School of Medicine in Mount Sinai, New York City, was able to actually, and this was recently mentioned in an article by New Scientist, and they were looking at basically under the microscope, they were looking at someone undergoing a biopsy. And so they were able to see the tissue living, which is like huge. So that means that that's where the big kind of leap is now, because we have this amazing technology, medical technology specifically, that's allowing us to see living tissue. So we now know it's not just this packing, thing holding us up, but it's actually, it's actually
organ. It's like a living, breathing organ.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. It's the sense organ. They're calling it the sense organ, just like our skin is our organ as well, like holding us up and protecting us. And, it's like, I always say like the skin, it's like the skin is to touch and then the fascia organ is to feeling. So it's the organ of feeling, because there's like over 250 million nerve endings in fascia. So there's also it's really interesting because, we talk about the nervous system a lot. there's some new promising research that's showing that actually there are nerves in the fascia as well, and it can really react more quickly than our brain can. So it's like immediate, you know what I mean? It's like we can't even keep up with it. So there's so much. What is basically like what we thought was just this one thing, we're realizing it's so much more than that. It's like this, there's so much possibility in the way we're realizing the way the body is connected, the way the body works. I mean, it has the potential, this new awareness has the potential to completely shift our medical paradigm and even the way we look at human physiology altogether. So it's a really exciting time right now. There's a merge of science, holistic healing modalities, and even spirituality coming together and realizing that this fascial system is a communication network, and it is how it enables our cell communication. And some of the research, there's a woman named Helen Langbein. She's a doctor. She was at Harvard for a while. She's now at NIH now, which is a medical research place. And I've been really loving, I'm, like I said, fascia nerd. I've been loving looking at the science because it's what I've kind of known intuitively for so long, but the science is now revealing the truth, which is what I've always felt. But her research is saying that the fascial system, it's like this intercellular network, and it's the meta system, she calls it, the meta system that is the master of all the other systems of the body. So when people are like, what are the systems? Like, well, there's 12 of them. So there's, you know what the systems are, but I'll just share it with your audience. You know, obviously I won't say them all, but the nervous system, the hormonal endocrine system, the lymphatic system, the digestive system. And so it goes on.
Cardiovascular system. Yeah, all the different parts. When you take anatomy and physiology, all the things you learn about. But you don't, I mean, you learn about fascia. So I went to med school about 15 years ago, and that's when I took anatomy. And I mean, we learned about fascia, but we did not learn at the tail end of med school, I remember taking a class where someone was speculating about, it was like in a mind-body medicine class, and she was speculating, we were talking about homeopathy. And we were kind of I was asking questions because I used to think homeopathy was a load of crap. I thought it was just so funny because it's like mostly what I do in my practice. Now I use so much homeopathy, but I was just like, how does it work? How does it work? And she was like, well, some people think that it's cellular and maybe it has to do with the fascia. And we were kind of having a discussion, but there was none of this research was out. So, and we learned a little bit. I took I'm trained in craniosacral therapy, which that works on the fascial system. And I haven't done an episode on that, but we can plan to chat about that later on the podcast. But it's a wonderful, physical modality that does work on moving the fascia. And, so having that training, I was like, okay, well, clearly this is something. And I shared with you a little bit before. I had one part of my personal health journey, I had a breast surgery when I was really young and had a really bad infection. And the whole left side of my body used to get these weird things. And I was like, no one could figure out like why they would happen. And I think I just had this crazy fascial pull. And I would run and things would get tighter. And anyway, I think there's so much, it's so cool that this is now catching up, right? That we actually can see the science of it. I don't know, when you were just sharing that, you were like, I think science is catching up, or we're meeting like holistic medicine and like the spirituality. I got chills, and that just really resonated with me because we know that there is like a meeting place for that. Like I see it all the time in my practice. And I do think that this fascia, it's like my innate knowing about it has been that it's how your body talks to you. Like everyone's probably had an experience where you some sort of you encounter like a person or a smell or something, and you get some sort of sensation in your body, maybe a low back pain or a hip pain or a tweak or a twirl or something that kind of is bleeding and then it goes away. I feel like your fascia it's immediately interacting with whatever that is, and it's giving you information. Right. I feel like it's like this other thing that talks to you. I would love to hear your thoughts on that, because that's kind of how I think about it in my head. But
it's brilliant. What you just said is so brilliant. I mean, that's the thing. And I think that's why. And now we're coming to this place where we realize that we need to get better at feeling. So because if we're constantly numbing in the old Western, I mean, I'm calling it old now. It's not old.
It's not old. It's still there.
But it's going to be old soon. But the medical paradigm now is numb the pain. They don't really get to the root cause. And so I think that's where we're going. And so fascia is going to help us get to the root cause of things better, because fascia is the way, and I'm getting the chills saying this to you, the way fascia speaks to you is through sensations.
Like chills, probably, right?
Right? The chills is the truth resonating through. Okay. So it's really beautiful. I mean, even arousal is your fascia talking to gut instincts, intuition, when you have that sense of knowing without actually having to see it. All of these things are the energy transmitting, the consciousness transmitting through your fascia and talking to you. And so the less we can do of numbing and sort of trying to banish the pain through Band-Aids, the more we're going to be able to heal, and not only just heal, but actually become more truthful and authentic and more real. And when we can do that, when each of us on the planet can do that, that's where the healing happens collectively. Because I think it's the Band-Aiding, the covering up, the facade, making everything look perfect on the outside. That's really where the issues lie. And so getting better at really tuning into your own feelings, your instincts, your authenticity, your own truth. This is also going to help people that have a lot of emotional issues, that carry around a lot of trauma, because fascia has also been known to be, the area of the body that holds on to emotional baggage. So I've said before, trauma can get stuck in the tissues. And that's because if there's something stressful that happens or traumatizing that happens, I mean, it could be anything little or big. Trauma doesn't need to be defined as like sexual, attack or something like that. It's really anything that your body, it's individual, anything that is too much for your body to process at that moment will then get stored in the cells, in the cell tissue. And so the beauty of knowing this and realizing that maybe that pain, it can be from an injury, it can be from an emotion, it can be from a biological or a biomechanical thing, but having the awareness and the knowledge to know, I actually have the power inside of me to move that energy through me so that I can allow the life force inside of me to pulse through and heal me. I mean, that's the thing. Fascia just basically pulses through our life force energy through us. So what we really need to do is just get the congestion out of the way, clear the blockages, create the space so that we can allow that energy and life force to pulse through us. Because it's really like, I think so much of what we're going through is like coming back home to our bodies and like getting out of the way, getting our mind out of the way of our body's innate ability. It's got this incredible intelligence inside of us. I mean, a lot of the
crazy.
Isn't it? I mean, a lot of the new researchers like Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza and that whole crew, they're all coming out with some incredible information from what they've done in their labs and studies about how powerful the human body and the energy inside of us is, right? So like that intelligence inside of us is so powerful. And I think so many of us have been looking on the outside for something to fix us, but we have it all right here.
Yeah.
It's all inside of us.
Yeah. Which is, it's like it is kind of a foreign concept. And you think about like the current Western paradigm is you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you what's best for you. But at the end of the day, and not to say that going to see a practitioner or healer isn't helpful, because sometimes they can help bring out the innate healing. They can help you see it in yourself. When I was in med school, I had this one doctor that would just say, if you're really struggling with a case, with a patient, whatever kind of practitioner you are, your patient will always tell you exactly what's wrong with them and exactly what you need to do or what they need to do to fix it. They already know it. Your job is to just hold space to listen and like to get them to get it and then reflect it back to them. Be like, well, I hear you say that like, you're pretty sure that like you've got pain there and this triggered from this. And like, but sometimes we just need to be, we need the confidence almost. I think as a species, we've kind of lost this knowing that we have what we need to get better or to heal ourselves. Which,
absolutely.
Thank God for this research, because I feel like it's going to bring it all back.
It really is. I mean, I guess something like, being called the body whisperer in the media, it's like, I feel like I've just been lucky to have this kind of kinesthetic intelligence that, I mean, I was never really great at school. Like growing up, I was always a great athlete. And I was so excited about like learning about health and wellness and nutrition and all of this stuff. But like, I was not really interested in regular school. And so, I got through there and my sport got me through and, got me into great university and stuff. But my point of bringing that up is like, I feel like I was lucky enough to have this kinesthetic intelligence or somatic intelligence, like working with people. I always felt like I could feel what was happening in their body.
Yeah.
And I could actually know what they needed. And so I think I had to go through that in my own self to know that I that I had that ability, that I could then help others become their own body whisperer through deepening their own kinesthetic intelligence. It's kind of like I have friends that are like intuitives, and I'm like, oh my God, it's so amazing how they can like intuit these things. And I'm like, everyone is an intuitive in their own way. It's just how we shut it off, how we turn it on. We can all turn on these different types of intelligences through our lives. And I think that's also something we're going through as a collective too, is sort of like bringing these intelligences back to the surface so that we can nurture them and make the most of them as well. So, but having that kinesthetic intelligence, being able to teach that to people is my passion. I mean, that is exactly what I want to do. I want people to really understand the language of their body. I want to demystify this body intelligence inside of them, because like we'll just think it's so kind of woo-woo or out there. And it's like, no, this is actually like, now we can really say with confidence, like the new research is even saying, I mean, there's promising research about fascia that, you know, it could even be helpful for preventing cancer and tumor growth, which is so funny. I just stumbled upon that research. As I mentioned, my story when I was 16, and now we're coming around.
Coming full circle. Yeah.
Circle. So it's like, it's pretty incredible. But one thing I wanted to share with you guys before we move, really simple way for your listeners to visualize what fascia is. So I feel like too, in the last few years, and I think we're going into even more technology. So we have AI coming. We've had to like really pivot to go everything online. And I think a lot of us have been like, no, we don't want to do that. But we have to do it. It's part of the way our world is. It's inevitable. So we might as well just get on with it and then find balance within it. Right. So my, this way of explaining fascia, I don't know if you've heard me say it yet, but I've said it only a few times recently because I just realized it. But it's basically the Wi-Fi of your insides.
Oh,
which
I like that.
Pretty cool. So it's like kind of thinking of it like okay, let's say you have Wi-Fi that's really slow and sluggish. And it's like you've got the really low graded Wi-Fi. So with working with your fascia and optimizing your fascia, you have the opportunity to actually upgrade. So thinking in technological terms, you have the ability to upgrade your Wi-Fi. So your Wi-Fi, when it's upgraded, your internal Wi-Fi, it's sending information, light, sound, nutrients. I mean, there's probably more than that. I mean, I'm just giving
all the different inputs that we have are going to happen so much faster.
So much faster. So what that means for people is that we will reboot our metabolism. So we'll be able to metabolize food, energy, life, sugar, whatever it is, more efficiently. We'll rebalance our nervous system. We'll rebalance our endocrine system, our hormones. I mean, that's just obviously one little bit. There's obviously so many more ways that we're going to be able to become more superhuman, I think. So to me, as we have technology evolving and AI and who knows what's going to happen with that, I'm sure there's going to be a light and a dark to that. But I think for us as humans, as that goes and upgrades, we need to also upgrade our internal software. Like if you think about what the body is, it's software. It's a meat suit.
It is.
It's an
earth
really
suit. The meat operating system, isn't that? It's like a biohacking thing. It's like your meat OS. Right? It's like we got to upgrade that.
Right? So I love talking about it like this because I feel like it can resonate with people like not talking about it as much energy and consciousness, which can get a little kind of, out there or spiritual, like really talking about it like, no, this is, you want to upgrade your system. And everyone's talking about like breath work. Well, if your lungs and your diaphragm are really bound in tight connective tissue, you're never going to be breathing fully.
It's going to be really hard for you to breathe, which that's a good, like if you feel like and this is a good maybe point to harp on, like, I think there's a lot of different ways that we talk about like calming the nervous system down. And if you're like, oh, I can't do any, like if breath work doesn't work for you or you're struggling in yoga or some other things, like I think the tips that you're going to share with us are going to probably help you get better at doing those other modalities.
Exactly. So that's the other thing too. So like people talk about the vagus nerve so much right now. Well, the vagus nerve is wrapped in fascia. So if the fascia around the vagus nerve is congested and, compressed and dried up and thick and dense, then guess what? That nerve is not going to be able to do what it's meant to do. That's that connection from the gut to the brain to the gut. I mean, there's new science about that that's just recently come out and how powerful that is for, overall like digestive health, gut health, autoimmune issues, all of those things. So yeah, I think we're just what I'm so excited about is we're just right here on the leading edge of some incredible new discoveries that I'm really excited about, because I think we've only just begun to realize the power of the system in the body. And I'm super excited because I have been studying it for so many years now. I really see that how it affects us physically, structurally, aesthetically as well with skin, because it's made out of collagen and elastin and hyaluronic acid. And then there's also water in there. That's that intracellular matrix, which is super important if you want to look, radiant. You got to have that flow in the cells and the tissues, but also how it's affecting us biologically. So we're saying with like cancer and autoimmune stuff and gut stuff. And that's pretty massive. But then the next level is like how it's affecting our emotional state as well. And also how it's affecting our energy. So there's new research too in Tom Myers has done a lot of research in the work of the structural integration fascia world. And he's actually defined or kind of found the research that the fascial planes in the body line up with the meridians. So I find that really exciting because that's another convergence and a merging of
like Eastern Western medicine. Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. And then you have the Western medicine that's like, wow, we're really realizing this is a site of biological activity that we need to look further into and do a lot more research. So, and then of course the last piece, which some people kind of tune out to, but is the spiritual part where it's like the soul is actually vibrating through the fascia. Like if you took the fascia out of someone's body, essentially their essence would be gone because it's everything moving through.
That's so interesting to think about that. Yeah. Well, I talk about spirituality a lot on the show, so I think my listeners I just think it's such an important part of health, like having just maybe, even if you don't have a belief, but just I think I did a live with someone about this last week, and we were just talking about how like when you trust that there's a higher power, at some level your body can be like, oh, thank God, there's something else out there like helping me out, so I can relax a little bit. So it's just I think it's helpful for the nervous system to know that like you're not alone and you're taken care of and feel supported. And
so then let's go back to the Wi-Fi. So the Wi-Fi network, right? So we have these circuits going through us. So if it's happening within us, right, in our consciousness, it's like the network of consciousness or the conduit of energy, then also is our Wi-Fi then going beyond?
Yeah, well, of course.
Now from that same route.
Yeah.
Like you right now, having a heart to heart, having a connection.
Yeah. We're doing this through technology. I mean, I can totally feel your energy, right? Like we can feel, it's funny, actually, I'm just sitting here thinking like I'm like right about to get my period. I'm kind of at that point in my cycle where I'm just a little down, but like this conversation we're having has like brought me alive because we're like, so clearly like you and I are connecting, we're sending each other signals, right? And we're not even in the same room, which is so wild. Right? We're like, you're in New Zealand. We're like, how far away? You're like 20,000 miles.
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, it's energy medicine, right? And I think that's where everything is going to shift in the next, 10 years or whatnot. Yeah. Like, we'll start to see big, huge catapults in the way we, do medicine. And you're already doing that. You're on the forefront of that. So, and I love that you're bringing like the medical paradigm into this. And like, to me, that's where, I've been putting that out there energetically or whatever in the quantum field. Like, I want to talk to more medical experts about this because this is also going to give it that groundedness so that we can really make it more universal and available to everyone.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about, when you were talking about being the body whisperer and talking about body language, I was like, I love that because I feel like I try to teach that to my patients. I'm like, your body's always trying to talk to you. We just have to learn. We have to figure out what it's trying to say. You have to learn your own language. And a lot of bodies have similar language, but sometimes your language might be a little bit different. Just like, you might speak a different language in this country versus this country. But maybe you can talk about some ways that you could, like, do you have some practices people can do to like get to feel more into their body or get to be aware? What are your favorite ways to do that? I'm sure you have tons of them.
Yeah, it's funny being away from like LA and coming here and just being off the grid a little bit, and just really I've been using this time the last few years to explore and just I haven't had as much access to amazing practitioners too. So I've sort of been like, oh, well, what do you do if you don't have your like Bodywork or your acupuncturist near you? So, and it's been a really interesting journey because I've been teaching rolling as kind of my primary way of giving people the self-care, the self-homework, which is phenomenal. And it still will always, I always feel like rolling is one of those things. It will just never get old because essentially what you're doing is you're peeling away the day of stress, the stress that's built up, accumulated day. And so it's like, it's kind of like brushing your teeth or flossing. It's like, you're never going to not have to work
do it.
the system because it's like, just like we exfoliate our face and our skin. Most of the time.
Well, and just like the other systems, like you go to, you have a bowel movement, you have a period, like the body's constantly like detoxing and getting stuff out.
That's a great example. I'm going to use that one.
Steal it, please. Yeah. I just but that makes so much sense. I'm sitting here like I haven't used my foam roller in ages. I'm like, I'm going to go home and do that tonight. But that's I never thought about that. Like that's such a great, like we do. I brush my hair, I brush my teeth. You exfoliate. You do all these things for these other systems. We breathe. Like that's like breathing is something we do every day to work out work the lungs and cleanse them out and detox them. So it's like you have to detox your fascial system every day.
Exactly. So when you're rolling or even stretching, so there's a number of things I'll put in the sort of same category. So even if you don't have a roller, there's these things that I've been doing now on Instagram. They're called the 5-minute fascia flows. And I just want to make it really accessible and simple for people, for them to understand this part of their body and not only just understand it in their mind and their cerebral thinking mind, but actually to feel it in their body. So when you get someone to feel something, you can kind of get into their subconscious and their programming and undo some of the old patterns a little more efficiently. So the 5-minute fascia flows are super helpful. Non-linear movement, moving your body in like directions that are like, not like how you're sitting on a spin bike.
Like back and forward and like diagonal kind of stuff. Like
different multi-dimensional planes. And also basically stretching is phenomenal. Stretching, but with it's funny because people do ask, is yoga working with your fascia? Well, of course it is. But when we're really getting into like opening up the pathways and the Wi-Fi, upgrading the Wi-Fi and the circuits in the body, you have to actually unwind the rotations that have built up in the tissues, which then can actually compress the muscles and the joints. And so it can make you really quite smushed, essentially. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the work that I do, because of the Pilates background and my athletic background, is repatterning the connection to the muscles. And so as we start to unwind kind of that buildup in the fascia, so like where fascia is limited, or let's say the things that would limit your fascia would be like poor movement patterns, postural patterns, biomechanical things, overtraining, undertraining, obviously injuries and trauma, and stress, tension, that's obviously a huge piece. One of the root causes of, scar tissue that's built up in the fascia is basically tensing up, holding up and being like this. Yeah. Yeah. White knuckling through life, grinding our teeth, squeezing our pelvic floor, bringing our arms into our body. That's a real like resentment kind of anger energy there, which can compress the lymph
nodes. All the stuff here. Yeah.
And so a lot of this stuff is happening subconsciously. We don't realize it's happening. And so little by little throughout the day, we're accumulating more stress. We're having more reactive, compressive, kind of clutching, bearing down moments. So that's why you see someone in their 90s walking around and they're so hunched over. Yeah. That's totally preventable because fascia is so incredibly malleable. So, but it does also, it will freeze and it will kind of freeze you into these positions. So you really do need to be aware and conscious. So that's what I love to teach people about, is just consciousness. So it's not doing an hour-long session. It's about consciousness throughout your day. What you're doing, every step you take, you have an opportunity to actually roll through your entire foot, to transverse move your body, to twist from side to side.
I'm sitting here like, I want to start like dancing or moving as we're talking.
Right? Honestly, like little things like that, just like moving your head around.
Shoulders, moving your head around.
Yeah, somatic stuff, moving your body in different like planes of movement. I mean, getting up and dancing, putting on some fun music, dance. I always say you can dance, you can bounce. I do a lot of jumping. Jumping is great for the fascial system. It also stimulates the collagen matrix. So collagen fibroblasts are then regenerated through jumping as well. And also through applying, like, for instance, this is
oh, that looks fun.
Really cool tool. So this is called the fascia comb. So it's like combing out tangles of your tissues.
Oh,
and
wow.
so I do this at the end of a shower, and I put my body elixir body oil on, and then when you're still wet and warm, and you can like smooth away. So this is like dry brushing upgraded.
Yeah, that looks very cool. I'm going to go order. Do they have that on Amazon? I'm going to order that tonight.
We'll send you one. We'll send you one.
Perfect. Yeah, send me one. That sounds fun.
And then
that
the body
just looks like it would feel amazing too.
It is. And like the other thing I would say too, I mean, speaking to your audience on this as well with women, is like when you're doing it, take an opportunity and really think about what you're thinking when you're doing this. Because you have this opportunity to like I do affirmations. Like you could be like, I am clear, I am open, I am connected, I am light, whatever it is you want to bring in. I'm compassionate, I'm grateful. Just to bring in that body love and that body nourishment. So it's another way of nourishing your body through, because the fascia does nourish the body, but also helps to obviously flush the toxicity in the body and the body.
Well, and what we've been talking about is that, this fascia system is like, it's absorbing everything that's coming in. So this just makes me think of like how, and I talk about this a lot, how important it is to choose your words and your thoughts, when you're thinking, and especially if you're saying something out loud while you're like tending to your fascia. That seems like such a beautiful way to like tell your body you love it. Like, because you're doing the act and you're working out. Yeah. That's really nice.
Or kind of thought patterns when normally maybe we'd look in the mirror and be like, looking at all the, like being really self-critical, like let's flip that paradigm and let's go, well, we're taking an opportunity to do something for ourselves. We might as well make it also a beautiful, loving ritual. I mean, if you're going to take time, might as well, because really, I mean, we always, the thing is, we do have the choice to focus on the shitty things or the good things. So we want to focus.
We want to choose the good things because it feels good too, right? It sounds like that. I'm like, I can't wait to go try it. It just sounds like it would feel good to do that and feel good to say
love it.
Yeah.
It's so like, it takes like 3 minutes, no joke. So what I like to do with the fascia optimization stuff is don't become overwhelmed and think about having a longer to-do list. Integrate 5 minutes of rolling in the morning and maybe some fascia combing and also maybe some breath work somewhere throughout the day, but also getting in and doing that diaphragm release where you're like putting your moving right in the diaphragm and just getting that tissue to kind of become more supple, because this is also really good for regulating your glucose and also nervous system calm down and get you more connected. And also because the diaphragm is this incredible pump that pumps your organs, just will make you give you another upgrade in your Wi-Fi, basically, in your system and your body. But dancing, even humming, is really good to vibrate energy out of the fascia that's stuck in the throat for swallowed emotions. Also, body work, just doing like, I do it all the time on Instagram, like one move, like here, this guys, if your neck is, or pull on your ear.
Oh, the ear pull. It's so funny. All these things that you're mentioning are, I don't practice craniosacral anymore, but I learned it and I think about it a lot. And like a lot of these, there are things that I used to do on people, like the ear pull is one, or like the occiput thing where, and what it does, it releases your fascia. So, and I never even thought about like doing it yourself. That's so great.
Is one of my most favorite modalities. I actually discovered it when I was studying. I was researching for my last book, which came out in like 2019 the end of 2019. And it was such a game changer. And so I've actually created some flows or practices in my Align Life studio, which is where I put everything that I learn and want to kind of share with everyone. And I put it in the library there's like hundreds and hundreds of.
Oh, amazing. We'll put access all that to the show notes so you guys can access it.
Yeah, totally. And we also have a really cool 7-day free fascia journey, which people will love if they're interested in wanting to go. Cool. So I in that journey, every day you get like a new flow. And so it's very simple. There's not a lot of tools. I mean, I do have an entire, I call it the body care collection, which are like this little mini roller and like this dome, which is phenomenal. Like it's kind of like acupuncture. Acupuncture, like it gives you that sensation and it sort of brings in the blood flow, circulation, great for like cellulite, for range of motion, all of those things. But I have a lot of tools, but I know that not everyone has access to them. So I've tried to make it really simple for people that they don't need tools. Yes, they are super helpful, but you can do a lot without tools to clear these kind of, sorry, I just dropped those. Here are these circuits in the body. So yeah, one thing I've kind of discovered, and this is still, I'm working on a program for this, but I've discovered that there's kind of these 5 circuitries in the body. And this is based on my knowledge from doing body work and learning and studying all the different parts of Ida Rolf's work, which is structural integration and even cranial sacral and whatnot. But there's these kind of 5 fascial planes that I like to call them circuits in the body, because as you awaken them, you're actually turning on the electricity of your body, the energy of your body. And that we can now, say scientifically, it's completely legit. So the lines of the body are the front line, obviously, like everyone has front line issues because we're all sitting too much, hunched over.
Yeah.
Diaphragm is collapsed. Heart is, compressing in. So we're like not able to feel our compassion as much because our heart is closed. Belly is pooching out. Your ribs are compressing down into your hips. So your digestion is kind of messed up. Your hips are getting more wound up and tight. Pelvic floor is tight and tense. So the front line needs to be opened up every day. I mean, these are like baseline primary things that need to be done in order to kind of undo that, like we were saying, the kind of freezing of the tissue, that forward fold. So you've got front line. I'll just say them really quickly. You have back line, which is like, we were talking about earlier that like there's that line of fascia from the bottom of your feet that goes all the way up through your legs, through your back, through your spine, to the top of your head. So yes, if you have neck stuff going on, it could be coming from the feet. So opening up the back line turns on that circuitry of allowing you to also think about it like, what's holding me back emotionally? So you've got like these physical and emotional components of these circuits. So then you also have the medial line, which is the line that I talk a lot about when I talk about pelvic floor, which I have a course coming out about that. And that's what the book was about. The pelvic floor is incredibly important. It's essentially the base of the core. You've heard it before, the pelvic core. If our pelvic floor is really tight, can also affect, from the cranial sacral work, can affect the jaw because there's that fascial plane that goes from the pelvic floor to the jaw. And it's also obviously important for the cerebral spinal fluid pulsing through the body. So medial line is basically inner arches of the feet all the way up through the inner thighs to the pelvic floor, to the core, to the deep core. So that's the medial. Then you have the lateral line. So that's just like side bending. So opening up the side body, getting the ribs open so you can breathe better. Also getting that resentment energy moving through you so you can reach out more in your life and be able to help more, but also receive. So giving and receiving more, whatever it is you need. Reach out more to be part of something bigger than ourselves. And then you have the transverse circuit, which is really about the spiraling energy. And it goes all the way through kind of the whole flow. So this is another one of the fascia flows I'm creating. And I'm calling it the Fascia 5, because I think what's happening is I'm realizing like there's so much information, there's so much science, there's all these different ways of working with your fascia. Like you can eat fascia foods, you can do the fascia combing, you can do,
it's like so much, right? There's so much going on.
I'm like, okay, how do we get people to really just feel it?
Do the basics. Yeah.
Do the basics, feel it. And then it sort of gives you that inspiration to really want to go in more. Because I think what we're seeing now with these fascia flows, I'm getting feedback. People are like, oh my gosh, I literally have been just doing this different. I haven't changed my diet. They're like, I'm losing weight. I feel less stressed. I feel like my limb system is better. My belly is flatter. I'm like, it's so profound. Like I was saying earlier, it's like, I feel like it is a bit of a superhuman upgrade. So we're giving the body an upgrade. I mean, it's just, anyway, so.
It's such a good analogy that I think it's such a perfect analogy. Like, and I love that, like you mentioned that like people change just one thing and they see these like really profound differences because it's that one change is affecting so many different systems in your body.
That's it. You know it. Yeah. I mean, the fact is that the system has always been there. It's just now that bringing awareness to it. And when we have the awareness of it, we actually have the ability to make it even more enhanced. You know, there was that. Did you ever see great article in by Harvard that was about the maids? They were
I did see that one.
Like 40 of the maids were told that they actually were doing more physical activity than recommended, you know, by health authorities. And then the other half wasn't told. And like she did a little health analysis of them before, the researcher, and after. And the after group that were told that they were working their body actually lost weight and rebalanced like their blood sugar, their waist got thinner. So this is the kind of thing we're working with here. So as we bring awareness and consciousness, I like to call myself like a body consciousness coach, basically. So as we bring the awareness to this and you realize like doing these like things, weaving them through your day, humming, dancing, swaying, breathing, kind of moving your body just randomly throughout your day, whatever feels good. Motion is lotion.
Motion is lotion. I like that.
Motion is lotion. You want to keep that flow going because what happens is we dry up if we don't move. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's so interesting. I just keep thinking like, I don't know if you're a Tony Robbins fan, but I always do his like little, I've never been to his event, but I love doing his online things. And he's always like, to change your state, you got to change your energy. And the first thing he always says you do is like, do something physical, like move your body, dance around, go for a walk. But it's just like thinking about like how that literally plays in. I mean, obviously we've talked about how it affects you physically, but it's going to affect you mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And it's so cool that we just now can see this. I mean, I think we all kind of innately know this. We know we feel better when we move, but I always feel like people are much more likely to make changes to their lifestyle habits if they know why that's working. So it's so cool to like have you come on and explain all of these like nitty gritty details about, hey, here's why this works. Because now people like, I feel like me, myself, I'm like, if I know something, then I can intentionally be like, oh, I'm doing this because I know it's going to help this, right? There's like that intentionality piece that comes in when you know what's happening. And I mean, that's the game changer. Yeah.
You nailed it. I mean, that's the thing. Like, and then you realize like everything we're doing and how we're moving and holding ourselves and sitting and posturing and all of those things they're actually going to affect the form and the shape that we take.
Yeah.
The way we move our body is the way it's shaped. And so we can move our body and let go of the buildup and the congestion and the blockages, then boom, you're like, wow. I always say like my first book was called Taller, Slimmer, Younger. It was all very aesthetic, but there were a lot more layers to it because yes, when you free up your fascia, you can grow an inch to an inch and a half.
Yeah.
And you will lose because you're getting taller, you become more narrow.
Yeah.
So you lose pant sizes and your waist becomes thinner.
Well, and you lose weight too, because I mean, I feel like, and I think I listened to you, I can't remember it was another podcast I listened to you chatting on, and we were talking about fascia and weight loss and how it's like the big missing component. Yeah, there was Dr. G. Dr. G and I, we went to med school together. So like
oh, I love him.
Yeah. He's great. He's doing such a great job sharing information. I feel like I'm so proud of how he's just like out there.
Shout out to Dr. G. We love you.
Shout out to Dr. G. You're the best. But but it was such a good, and I mean, I kind of knew that, but again, it was nice to hear that, like, and for you to talk about. It's a great episode. I don't know so go check that episode out because it was really, it was just a great conversation on the weight loss. Yeah. Because I see so many people, and I know people listening, like so many people are doing quote unquote all the right things. They're eating right, they're exercising, and they're not seeing a change, but you might be holding on to something in that fascial realm.
It is so massive. It's funny because, people like, oh, well, don't focus on weight loss because it's so kind of superficial. But I'm like, holding excess weight is showing us that something is not quite right. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about being skinny. It's not about that. It's about.
Well, and also I sometimes have women come in and they're like, I know this is so trivial. I shouldn't be worried about that. But if you don't feel good about how your body looks and feels, that's stressful to your system. If every morning you wake up and you're like, I don't feel good, my clothes don't fit, like that, and that stress is going to impact all the other systems and that's going to impact your fascia. So it's okay to want to look and feel the way you want to look and feel. Like, I think it's, it doesn't have to be thought of as vain or, like if you want your body to look and feel a certain way, that's okay. You shouldn't be shamed for that.
Absolutely. We all want to feel good in our skin too. And we'll show up better in the world when we feel confident in our skin. And that will look different for everyone. Everyone has a different feeling and sensation or inspiration on that. So we want to embrace that and nurture that as well, because I mean, that's the thing, like fascia is also in the fat too. And like we're saying, like the nervous
fascia is tight and holding on to the fat, it's probably not going to move, right? That's kind of what I envision it.
Yep. And also the nervous system, as we know, if the nervous system is taxed, you're never in parasympathetic, you can't lose weight. So your body will just hold that weight as a protective padding to make sure you're safe. And that's it's actually doing it as a gift for you.
Yeah.
So that's where it's like almost backwards of the way we've been programmed our whole life. Like, just starve yourself and burn a lot of calories. Like, like, what if we just like let our body then rebalance itself through finding that flow in the cells and the tissues and, you know, like rebalancing the systems too.
Yeah. I share this analogy a lot on my show that like, I imagine that either or tell people imagine their body's like a house and the weight you want to lose is like a basement closet filled with junk. And if you're in stress mode, it's like people coming over to eat a meal, every meal of every day. And if you were cooking and cleaning your kitchen, you know, like 3 times a day, you're never going to have the time or the energy to clean out your basement closet. So that's why, like, you know, parasympathetic or rest and digest is when nobody's coming over. You got a week to yourself. So then you're going to actually have time to go clean it out. So that's just a reminder to all you guys, you know, doing more and eating less is not the answer for what like you gotta give your body the time and the space to actually do that and add in some of these fun fascia things we're talking about.
Oh yeah. No, they are fun too. Yeah. I mean, we keep it fun, you know, keep it light, fun. I mean, another thing I've been doing, which I think your listeners will probably love, is like after every meal, not right away, but maybe about 10 minutes later, I'll go for like a little walk outside, find some earth somewhere and just do like 20 bounces. People call it like it's like a movement snack. So just little jumps, you know, getting the lymph system going, getting your energy flowing, and also helping you digest the food better. And I really do think, you know, doing it maybe twice a day can be super powerful for weight loss.
That is a great
good one.
Well, and that's just a great, like, also just stress relieving hack. It gets you out of your, like, you know, rat race, monkey brain thinking pattern that you're in. If you're stuck on something, like, go get out of there for a second, do a little fun jumping. That sounds like so much fun. So do you recommend a rebounder? Is that what you like recommend people get?
Actually, it's funny you said Tony Robbins, because he does the rebounder for like the one that I have back there, the Bellicon. He does like 2 minutes before he goes on stage. So yeah. I love a rebounder, but I also, if you don't have a rebounder, I mean, if I'm on the road or something, and I've got my whole family doing this little bouncy thing.
Go jump. That's so fun. I'm gonna get my kids to do it. I've got so many fun things to go try. This has been amazing. So where can people find you? Where's the best place for people to find you? I know you're on Instagram a lot, sharing all kinds of fun things. So check you out on Instagram. And then website, where's the best place for them to find your programs?
For people that want to dive in a little deeper, we've got that 7-day journey that's at my Align Life Studio. It's an online app, and it's an amazing platform that's basically a one-stop shop to help you with nutrition, because we now have the Fascia Foods app and meal plans as well, depending on if you're a vegetarian or vegan or omnivore like me. You can really dive into wanting to eat for your connective tissue. And also we have all kinds of different modalities. Meditation, sound healing is also a really amazing tool for actually for your fascial system as well, to kind of clear, to actually vibrate out whatever is stuck in the tissues. I have some fascia flows in there that are done on the earth. So adding the earthing to it and the morning light is really powerful. And in the Align Life Studio, you can find over hundreds of workouts and flows. And we are streaming in over 50 countries now. So it's available anywhere.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's fun. It's fun to be able to have a place to put all of these things that I love to learn about and then distill them down into something that people can put into action right away. We actually have a cranial sacral flow in there as well on the body.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Fun. Well, this has been amazing. I can't wait to go back and re-listen to this so I can make sure that I do all the things we talked about. I love having you on. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see everyone next week.
Thank you for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to connect with me on social media and leave a rating and/or a review. This helps grow the show so more people have access to this knowledge that leads to empowered healing. Love and light, and see you next week.